Hi guys, welcome to Music Scene Media Reacts. I'm Connor, and today we're going to be reacting to some industrial metal. Today we have Destiny Control by an artist named Arzenik. For those who are unfamiliar with industrial metal and what elements kind of go into it, it's a unorthodox sort of genre of music. You're going to hear a lot of harsh noise elements, syncopated and kind of repetitive loops of rhythms and drums. You're going to hear a lot of fucking synths. You can hear some samples of like factory noises and just kind of unorthodox sounds. Vocally, usually, it's less melodic based. Like these guys are usually gonna yell out their lyrics or maybe sound a little bit cold. The point isn't trying to sing your heart out. Artists you might know similar to this type of music would be like Nine Inch Nails, Fear Factory, Three Teeth, the legendary Ministry, Godflesh. These artists, they're proficient in pushing the envelope with experimentation and finding different things that can be considered sonically, a musical note. And usually in themes of industrial metal, you go find a lot of self introspection, dystopian type themes. It's more biomechanical in nature. So yeah, let's get into it today. If you can't read lips, because I'm gonna put fucking subtitles down there so you can follow along while I commentate to this track. Now that I'm done jabbering, let's get into it. Some keyboard vibes already. Yeah, this shit's gonna be heavy already. Oh, that's groovy.
Stop the rain. Will the season end the pain?
Oh, we're getting a drop this fucking early. Fuck it, Arzenik. Give it to me, bitch. Oh man, this is fucking tough.
If you even stop the rain,
What the style of these vocals too?
will the season end the pain?
Oh, this is a sick transition.
Swinging rapids run, unrelenting flow, hidden by my soul, never letting go. Something is the right, never what it seems. Smiling when I cry, dying in my dreams. I don't know the truth, God is all I know. Thunder is my light, guiding me through life. If you even stop the rain, will the season
Yeah, man, that main riff, dude, that's fucking catchy. That's really fucking sick. This is like the next Tron movie it was filmed in hell. Like, this shit's crazy to look at.
if you even stop the rain, will the season
Man, that shit was heavy as hell. Yeah, man. Yeah, whoever did the fucking music video for this, props to them. I just couldn't take my fucking eyeballs off of it the entire time. I got really big dystopian, futuristic vibes from it. Like all these mechanical beings, in formation, marching about, look like people were on an assembly line going to a destination. You got some dude in control up there. It looked like they filmed this music video for Tron if it was based in hell. Honestly, it was very appealing to look at, and I just couldn't take my eyes off that damn thing. Going into sonically, what we just listened to, this is a heavy track. I clocked it the first few seconds going in when I heard that riff get brought up from the fucking ground. I knew this shit was gonna be a heavy hitter, and it did not disappoint. Between the double pedaling drums, the groovy, catchy guitar riffs, and the synths implemented throughout the track, especially in transition points, really built this dystopian, self-soul tugging atmosphere that I felt like Arsenic was trying to achieve with something like this. Going back into industrial music and the experimentations, I did hear what sounded like steam pipes going off, conveyor belts, sound like metal was scratching itself on its surface or being stretched on its own. And I think that's really impressive. Mind you, this is a one man band. Like, this is just one guy fucking thinking of all these sounds and what could fit into a track to make it feel whole. And I feel like he did a really good job. I don't think people realize how difficult that can actually be. I feel like he has a vision and he clearly knows what it wants to be. And paired along with the instrumentation with the music video here, it followed along really solid, between like the lights going off when the riff would come back and drop on itself. You saw the mechanized units start marching along. It was really, really cool to hear and see everything in real time. I feel like it lined up really damn good. Going into the vocals and lyrical message in Destiny Control, I want you to keep in mind that industrial music isn't really like other genres of metal. It's not like deathcore and grindcore death metal where you're going to start getting vocal gymnastics thrown at you. Like weird, crazy gutturals or high pitched screams. It's not like metalcore or new metal where you're going to get, big, clean, cinematic atmospheric choruses. It's not really built for that. And industrial music's more about the noise. It's more harsh. It's more straightforward. And I think Arsenic has a solid, gruff, mid-tone voice and reminds me of Tom Waits if Tom Waits started doing industrial music. And if you don't know Tom Waits, you're fucking missing out. After this video, go check him out and you won't be disappointed. Looking into who Arsenic is, the guy is named Cal Johannesson. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. Apparently, this guy started his music career in fucking Sweden. Right now, he's based in Chicago, Illinois. When he was in Sweden, he was apparently in punk bands, started experimenting with industrial sounds, and was even in a fucking grindcore band. And if you listen to grindcore, like that type of music is nuts. Um, and he's also a one man band, right? So that's impressive, for one guy to curate and create an amalgamation of sounds like this. When you're in a actual band, you usually have 3 to 5, other assholes to sort of share the load with you, between the songwriting, the mixing, production, any extra effects you want to put in there, the imagery. You have a lot more minds that kind of come together and suggest different ideas maybe you didn't think of. With one man bands, like just one artist, everything is confined to just the one individual. In my own local music scene, we have a few uh, solo artists, and I give props to them as much as I do to Arsenic for for taking that on. And some people just personally don't want, a band. You know, like sometimes like they think it's easier and more efficient to kind of tackle on the pursuit of art and expression by themselves. And again, like that is very it's very cool to see artists do that. Going into the lyrical message of destiny control, I feel like I was right in my assumption that there is some sort of inner conflict happening, stressors. There's definitely friction happening in the speaker's heart and soul and mind as we go through this track. Opening up with the first verse, surface hides the pain deep inside my mind, agony restrained, present at all times. You know, as human beings, we're going to go through a lot between the ages of alive and dead. And throughout it, a lot of it's not going to be positive things. You know, you're going to meet really shitty people, situations. You're going to encounter almost agony like feelings, you know, if it's bad enough. And the key to it is like how do you carry it, you know? We all have some sort of cross that we have to bear, you know, through our lives. And how do you function, you know, feeling the way you do, remembering the things that you do. You know, how do you carry it? You know, the human body is a extravagant thing. You know, this little organ up here carries our sad little meat sacks throughout life. And between like the physical difficulties, on top of you got spiritual, mental, emotional. You know, how does it function experiencing all of that, you know, by the end? And you know, there is definitely negative ways to process it. There are healthy, positive ways to go about it. It doesn't change that there has to be some sort of how do I go about my day despite feeling the way I do? You know, and I think that's common amongst everyone. Looking at the chorus of the track, that's just what I'm going to call it because it's the most prominent repeated line in the song. I really liked what he wrote here. He says, "If you even stop the rain, will the season end the pain?" And I really like that. I think as human beings, we are creatures of habit. We naturally enjoy familiarity, almost obsessively, even, you know, and it could be a feeling. It could be a unhealthy one. But if you felt a certain way for an extended amount of time, you may not naturally go away from it, you know. I think I think our memories are like that as well. You know, the things that we have to endure, whether it's shitty people, situations, shitty feeling, internal or external, you know, we lock on to how we felt in those moments, even long after the conflict resolved itself. You know, and if it resolved itself last week, last year, maybe even a lifetime ago, you know, it's the fact that it was there to begin with, and you might feel diluted about it now, you know, but it's still there. I think we get comfortable in feeling in pain, you know. I think those sort of situations really builds a person. I always say you can really tell who a person is when you put them in conflict. When things are not going right and their real selves show, I feel like that's how you judge a person. But judging yourself on it, you know, I guess maybe depending on how you deal with it, you know, that cross, and crown of thorns that you bear in the face of that issue. It kind of makes a person, whether it's survival mechanisms put in place, PTSD, maybe a belief system that you put in place to protect yourself from whatever harsh reality you were experiencing. And I feel like that's where the habit comes in. We kind of just lock onto it. And I think a lot of our memories are that way. I think that most memories we retain we retain them really strong if they're burnt in, you know. I think that if something never ceases to stop hurting, then you'll never forget it. I don't know, I really like that line. I like the way he put that. Going into the final verse bridge esque part of the track before it ends with the same chorus lines again. There is definitely there's some pushback. There is some sort of push and pull happening in the narrator during this. Raging rapids run, unrelenting flow, hidden by my soul, never letting go. Now going back to the memory thing, and maybe it's not even a memory. Maybe it's happening in real time for the speaker. And he says it earlier, deep inside my mind, there is some form of pain feeling that he is taking away from the spotlight, the limelight, what you see, and he is burying it. There is some form of wall restraint, trying to chain up what he is actively feeling. I also I notice that he uses a lot of environmental analogies, with the weather, with water, seasons, thunder. There's this guy looks at the environment and rips metaphors and feelings out of them, and I think that's impressive. And I like that sort of theme. I don't know if all of Arsenic's tracks are like this, but he thinks deep, and I think it shows. See, something is already never what it seems, smiling when I cry, dying in my dreams. I don't know the truth. Gone is all I know. Thunder is my light, guiding me through life. So that's the pushback of the speaker to whatever his situation is that he's experiencing. Thunder could be an analogy for hope. It could be a deity. It might not be, a Christian god, like maybe it's a Norse god. I have a friend that believes in that system, and there's nothing wrong with it. I think all human beings, when we go through something, the first thing we try to do after we feel it is how do we escape it? Sometimes it's not a physical answer. Maybe it's a line of thinking, a line of feeling. When life kicks your ass and puts you on the ground, the first thing you feel is ouch. The second is, well, do I get up? How fast do I get up? If it hits me again, am I going to be able to get up again? And that's hope right there. Yeah, I really like how he's presenting these feelings through the Earth's environment. Going with the title track, Destiny Control, I think it's fitting, with all the lyrics presented and the message. What sort of factors, values, components, mechanisms do we put into our life, pick and choose, that really determine who we are, who we will be, and where we go? I think that's a really fitting title to this track. A less serious side note, this is a really fun track to listen to. I mean, I would go see this shit live. I enjoy more aggressive, violent music, and when I go to shows, I enjoy watching the band play, and then while they play, my friends are breaking my jaw in half, and I'm breaking theirs. That's fun to me. I like that expression, and this is something I would definitely go and see. Arsenic is based in Chicago, Illinois, presently. I don't know if he'll make his way down to North Carolina anytime soon, but I'll keep a lookout for him. And again, this is a one man show. It's highly impressive that one person can curate an expression like this just all on his own. So I give him props. But yeah, this was Arsenic Destiny Control. Let me know how you enjoyed the video, the music. See if you have similar opinions that I do or not. And yeah, we'll see you next time on Music Scene Media.